We are at the
Toy and
Train Museum in
It's in an old elementary school. It's really cool.
Yeah, really cool building in Wheeling, West Virginia. And it's a harvest host. We had a nice, lovely evening outside in the back. So
in the back, behind the caboose.
Yeah.
And we met a couple other, Robin and Tom came by as well. We had about 3 different rigs here for the harvest host, kind of like a little campground.
That's right. So I had a good time.
Now we're touring.
Yep, now we're touring the building and but
playing. We get to play. It's interactive.
Yeah, it's very interactive. What do you think about these games?
Takes me down a road. I've played many of them. You know, I think this is one of the fun things about RVing is finding these hidden gems and getting to visit, I mean, quirky little museum, but so fun, off the beaten track. We wouldn't normally done it, which is another great thing about Harvest Host. Puts you someplace where you wouldn't normally be.
That's right.
It's one of the wonders of being a full-time RVer.
That's right. Yep. And so one of the things that we hear about the not so fun side of things is having to deal with, the practical things is how to deal with insurance.
We've gotten a lot of questions in the 4 years we've been on the road. Now we're really lucky because we have, you're still working full-time, so we do have insurance through that. But
even then we found out there's maybe a problem.
Right. So because so many people had questions, we thought, let's go to an expert and ask some questions. And asking her questions really showed us we might need to check on our own insurance.
Right.
So we did have an interview. I guess I did the interview with Coleen and Patrick from RV Life, and she's with the RVers Insurance Exchange. So here, take a listen to what she has to say. You might learn something. Patrick and Coleen, welcome to the virtual campground. We're so glad you're here. Can you please introduce yourself to our friends?
Sure. I'm Patrick Buchanan. I'm the industry liaison, and I help manage various partnerships and things within the RV Life network and the RV Life family. And we have a relationship with Coleen and her team via our primary insurance vehicle, which is the RVer Insurance Exchange website.
I'm Coleen Elkins. I am a managing general agent working with RVer Insurance Exchange, and I have 26 years as a health insurance agent and 14 years of full-time RVing. This is our first year being part-time.
So the first question is we get a lot from folks is, of course, can RVers get insurance, and is there a special insurance for, and we're talking about health insurance here, for RVers? And I'm assuming mostly it's full-time RVers. So Coleen, what can people do?
Well, there are things that work for RVers and things that don't work. And since 2008, we've been helping RVers. We learned pretty quickly when the Affordable Care Act came along that it was going to be cumbersome for RVers. And it actually, when there was a mandate to have it, it became stressful. When the mandate went away, it opened up some doors for us to offer plans that are specifically more, let's say, accessible to RVers than some of the traditional plans or major medical. We specifically have a plan that we went to the carrier and told them that what we were looking for those that are enjoying the RV lifestyle, whether part-time or full-time, so that they have benefits when they're away from their domicile if they're full-time, or their sticks and bricks if they're part-time. We actually have a carrier that agreed to have a little bit more relaxed underwriting and some other things that give RVers health insurance while they're on the road.
So does that help for, I mean, the majority of us, of course, would have, be knowledgeable about employee insurance or insurance we had when we were with a company. where you had normally a primary physician and you went to people that were in your network, which was also in your location. Now, with those of us that are out and about in the world, hard to get to a primary physician. So does this plan help with that?
Yeah, it does. And interesting that you would bring up an employer-based plan, because a lot of people that are retiring either on schedule or early, they're coming off of employer-based plans and they're used to a local network. They're used to seeing their regular primary care, and all that is getting ready to change for them if they're going to go full-time on the road. And there's an interesting reading on Becker's Hospital Review from August 7th that says 61% of the people out of a study with 24,000 employees at a major Fortune 100 company, 61% chose the wrong plan for their needs. So just because, if they're going out on their own, just because they feel they made the right choice, they may not have. And using our services or the services of an agent that has knowledge with the RV community costs you nothing. So why not take advantage of it?
And so from that perspective, you are, your role is as a
health partner and advocate. So once the way that it works is the health insurance companies are paying us to show their plans, to make them available to them. And then once the policy is in place, our job is to be their advocate, their customer service person. If they have claims questions or they need to find a provider while they're on the road, that's our job.
So that makes, so what that sounds to me like is somewhat like what we're used to with, say, car insurance or health insurance, where you have a personal person, you have a person that you're speaking with that is actually knowledgeable what your particular need is. You're not just buying something, you know, checking a box somewhere. You're actually saying, okay, these are the issues with me, or here's what I need, and we're going to be traveling full-time or part-time, and I need to be able to go to doctors across the country. And that's something that you help them build. Is that right?
That's correct. And I remember when we went full-time, when you have a Dominic or a Norcold refrigerator, your whole grocery shopping experience is different. And you can't fit a frozen pizza into your RV refrigerator usually. Right. There's things in our life that change. The same thing happens with your health insurance. You can't go at it the way that you used to when you lived in a sticks and bricks house.
What are some of the common things that you advocate for, or that you suggest to people that are going on the road that they need to watch for or look for in insurance?
I'll give you an example. For instance, I helped a lady a couple of days ago, and she's a Florida resident. She told me that they were on an ACA, her and her husband. When he went on Medicare, they lost their tax credit. So she still remained on the ACA, but their income structure and him coming off changed the tax credit. So I was talking to her and I did some math on an Affordable Care Act plan in Florida, which has an out-of-pocket of $6,850 before she has any benefit. It's an HSA compatible plan. Her total premiums with that, and then you add in the $6,850 out-of-pocket, came to $23,420.44. So and that is a major medical. In other words, it's a claims payout plan. If we use a benefits payout plan and put all the bells and whistles on that turn it into a major medical when the claims threshold reaches a certain point, then her premiums went from $23,420.44 to $16,570.44. No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. It was $498.36 a month, which comes out to $1380.89. So it's a big difference in her premium. The two she's got the $1380 on the ACA, and she's got the $498.36. I'm sorry, monthly on the benefit payout plan.
That makes a lot of sense because of dollars and cents. So, but how does a person know I mean, one of the things I always found hard about insurance, even when I was working for a company, is to know what plan to go on that was going to fit us best, because you can't always project into the future about how's my health going to be in 1 year. So how can you help, or what should people look for, knowing they're going to be on the road? They might have a little bit more risk, but in general, it's really comes down to your health. How do they know what to look for?
They want benefits that are flexible. In other words, they want to be able to see any doctor. They want the choice to be able to maybe negotiate. The one place that we do go, that we walk in, when we go there, we don't know what they're going to do to us, and we typically don't know what we owe when we walk out, and that's a doctor's office.
Right.
So if they have control of that and they're on a budget, they can ask, what is your cash pay price? And then they can decide if they're going to use their insurance card, or if they're going to pay that claim and pay that bill and submit a claim to have their benefit paid back to them. And it gives them the freedom. So one of the reasons that we travel and we want the freedom to move about the country in our RVs, thing we've never seen before, we don't want the stress of thinking that our health insurance may not work when we get where we're going.
Right.
And most people are on a budget.
Absolutely. So now, as an RVer that's traveling around, do some of these plans then have suggested doctors and physicians to visit? I mean, or do they mostly go to an urgent care just because it's easy and you don't have to have a doctor there to know the doctor?
Great question. Urgent care is a really good alternative. Let's say that you feel a sinus infection coming on and you're sitting up in beautiful Gunnison, Colorado, and you don't have any idea where to go. You can either use your network on these plans and look up providers that are local there, or you can go to any doctor, again, negotiate the cash pay price. You can go to an urgent care very easily, stay out of the emergency room. That's the one point that we really need to stress, is do not go to an emergency room unless you're pretty confident you've got an emergency.
Yeah, so for something really simple, or obviously if you have an emergency, you have to call 911 or go to an emergency room, obviously.
Right.
If there's something that you feel like you would normally go to a regular doctor's office, going to an urgent care is a much better suggestion than going to emergency room, is what you're saying.
Correct. And they're more and more common than they used to be. In fact, some of the pharmacy or some of the pharmaceutical stores like Walgreens or CVS have doctors now in their stores. And that's, you can look to see if that's something that you can utilize.
I did not even know that. I did notice that the drugstores and even some of the grocery stores with pharmacies have much more options for vaccinations and for different things that I would normally have thought you had to go to a doctor.
Mm-hmm. And the one of the plans that we offer has teledoc built into it, which is really handy.
I was going to ask you about that. That seems like a really great option for people that are on the road a lot, is to have a teledoc situation in their insurance. And is that something that a lot of the insurance plans are now offering, or is it an add-on cost?
It's not an add-on cost on the one that we use for RVers. Some of the major medical plans are using it now. The problem with the major medical plans is that in 2021, they implemented the No Surprises Bill Act. In reaction to that, what the health insurance carriers did was they no longer offer out-of-net benefits for a hospital stay. So let's say that someone is a Texas domicile and they're in the state of Florida for the winter, and they have a cardiac event and they're put into the hospital there, and when they have an ACA in Texas, they're not covered. So if you find yourself in that situation, that's the first question you need to ask is, and you're on an Affordable Care Act or a major medical plan, is, I'm out of network right now, am I covered? So that's, something certainly you want to take a hard look at.
So what happens in those situations if someone is out of network? And we had a situation where we had to go through an emergency room, and what we were told was, because we went through the emergency room, that it was actually covered even if it was out of network.
It used to be. Emergencies used to always be covered out of network, but they're not anymore.
Okay. That is bad news. I did not know that.
There's a lot of things that, see, we keep up on everything legislative in our agency. That's one thing that every day we're following legislative changes. And that's the reason why, because we as RVers are going to be impacted the most if something like that changes. And I knew instinctively when that law passed that the carriers were going to remedy it for themselves, and that's what they did.
Wow. That's crazy, because that covers people that aren't even RVers, that might be out on vacation in another place. So, from that perspective, that leads to my two next questions, actually. So one, if someone is considering becoming an RVer, whether it's part-time or full-time, that they want to start RVing, when is the best time for them to start looking at insurance plans and thinking, well, maybe I need to have a different plan?
I would say about 6 months out. If it's closer to the end of the year, and let's say they're going to go in March, I would definitely start looking, because we know towards the end of the year what the next year is going to look like. We can't tell you right now what 2023 is going to look like in the health insurance industry, but when it gets to October or November, we can.
So the other question is, can non-RVers use your services in these kind of plans?
Sure, absolutely. It's for anyone.
And so, and it might be that a person is an RVer, gets a plan with you guys, and then they stop RVing. They can certainly continue with you in that way with insurance.
Yes,
and
absolutely. So, and then we can also transition them into Medicare.
What age does Medicare start?
65.
Okay. Just asking for a friend. So Patrick,
well, your friend can call me whenever.
Okay, she was ready. Okay, yeah, she's not quite there. So Patrick, how is what Colleen's talking about connected to RV Life?
So with RV Life, we have an entire network of resources, primarily websites and software that's designed to enhance the RVers experience, help them find RVs, maintain RVs, navigation, articles, learning about the lifestyle, all of those types of things. And our goal is to direct them to a resource, which is our website, RVerinsurance.com, to provide them with real, knowledgeable folks that can, Colleen's team, that can provide quotes and information for these RVers that they're not going to be able to get from regular companies. If you're lucky, you'll go to Farmers or you go to Progressive or wherever, and you might get somebody that knows how to find the right clause in their little book or manual and figure out what this RVer needs. Whereas Colleen's entire team are experienced RVers, and they have the experience and the imagination to figure out what's really going to work for real RVers. With the scope and the breadth of our sites, there's 100% chance you're going to land on one of our websites. And through that experience, we hope to guide folks to RVer Insurance, where they will get actual, really superior help navigating this insurance landscape versus randomly filling out a bunch of forms and getting quotes without having any idea what they're doing, or that the agent has any idea what an RVer really needs.
Yes, y'all are everywhere, and I do see you very often. So I do have another question for Coleen too. If someone is on like they are full-timers, but they're remote workers and they actually do have insurance through their company, does it make sense for them to still talk to you or somebody on your team to make sure that they are having the right coverage in case they need to do any, I guess, add-on auxiliary insurance, something?
It would be a good idea, because if they're on an HMO or a point of service, it could be that they don't have the benefits we need. We have a rider that we sometimes can attach to an existing plan that would help them. The other thing I do want to say is, if someone is close to age 65 and going on Medicare and they're on group benefits, they should never take the COBRA option rather than their Medicare, because COBRA is not credible coverage and they'll be penalized when they do go on Medicare. So there are some other nuances that people don't even think about, and they shouldn't have to, that are out there that could cost them money for the rest of their life. It's important for them to talk to a knowledgeable agent that can advise them when they're transitioning. A lot of people retire earlier than 65, and they'll go on the road and they'll be working maybe remotely, and they'll give notice and they'll exercise their COBRA option rather than looking at alternatives before they turn 65. And then if they don't speak to an agent, they're probably not going to know that if they take the COBRA option and let's say they stay on it for 9 months or a year, they've missed their opportunity to enroll in Medicare when they're eligible. They have to wait for an open enrollment period to enroll, and they are going to be penalized.
How will they be penalized?
By Medicare for not enrolling in a timely manner.
Okay. Yeah, insurance, I'm so glad there are people like you, because insurance is one of those things that gives me tired head, and I know it gives tired head to lots of people. So this is all just eye-opening, because I'm not going to sit and read any kind of clauses or rules about insurance. I'm just going to probably just keep my fingers crossed that it works. And that's not a good insurance policy. So I appreciate that you know so much and that you're there and people like you are there to help us figure this out. Because, when we worked for a company, you just checked a box. I didn't get to talk to an agent. So is this an agent a common thing with insurance companies or insurance providers?
People that come from the corporate world or they've got employer-based health insurance, they've never had to go through it. Like you said, it's open enrollment. They check the box every year for what they want to do. If they want to make changes, a lot of times their insurance comes out pre-tax, so they've got a tax savings there. They're used to all of these wonderful things that the self-employed or people that are part-time workers, they usually don't have those benefits, so they may be a little more versed. And it's, you're blessed to have those benefits all the time that you work, but you do need to be just as savvy about your medical benefits as what's going to fit in your refrigerator.
I like the analogy. So, Patrick, tell us how we can reach out to you guys and to Coleen when we have questions about insurance.
Well, for sure, we want you to go to RVerinsurance.com. That's RVer Insurance.com. And we have quote pages right on there. In other words, you can go to health and get a quote. You can, that's the primary, what our primary is. There's actually a few different parts of the health page you can look at. All of those quotes, all of that information, and we have a contact us page, of course, there. All of that funnels into Coleen's team, who will, they're lightning fast at addressing that, barring a major holiday or something, or a insurance symposium somewhere. They are on top of this thing, and you'll get responses very, very quickly. RVers will notice that on this website, we don't load it full of ads, right? You're not going to be trying to fill out your form and pop-ups are happening all over the place and ads are sliding up, sliding down, and sliding backwards. You can sit down, put your information in, submit a quote, and then you'll be contacted by Coleen's team as to next steps and what they can do for you and all of those things. And it's a one-stop shop. Go there, do what you need to do, and kind of put your mind at ease versus You know, a lot of the forums out on the internet are a lot of robo forums where people don't actually want to engage you. They just simply want to gather your data, funnel it to a bunch of underwriters, let them battle it out and see who can save you 9 cents here and there. And then finally somebody emails you or calls you and says, hey, you want to buy this or not? You know, and obviously Coleen's team is completely different. Our website is completely different, and it's a great experience.
I really appreciate you guys being here and helping us out with this really important aspect of RVing, which I think many of us really try hard not to think about. But it is something that we do get a lot of questions on, and I know a lot of people have questions. So now I know I can send them to you for answers.
Thank you, Deborah.
Excellent. It's been our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, both of you.
So that was interesting. While you were away, we were playing. Now we're in the train room, which is fun.
One of the train rooms.
One of the many train rooms, exactly. Yeah, so hopefully you learned something from Coleen. I certainly did. I have lots more questions now about our personal insurance.
Yep.
I think we've figured out we need to send it to her to have her take a look at it and let us know that we're covered. That whole business about the emergency room and being out of state, obviously we're out of state a lot. So I have always assumed we were covered.
Right.
And now we know things have changed. So I don't want to keep up with insurance laws. Do you?
No.
No. So I'd rather an expert do it. So anyway, so y'all take a look at what you've got, and hopefully that answers some questions. And certainly post any questions in the comments, and we can certainly get Coleen to follow up on them. But yeah, we're going to go play a little bit more here. This has been a great Harvest Host. Lots of fun. We enjoy our Harvest Host membership and have used it often. Highly recommend it. We'll put our link in the show notes for how you too can join Harvest Host, which is now partnered with Boondockers Welcome. And you can come to fun places like the Toy and Train Museum.